Well, hello and welcome to Conversations. In the 106-year history of the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, only 19 people have served as director, and the latest joins us today. We are pleased to welcome Austin Booth to the KATV studio. Austin, thanks for being here. Great to see you.
Absolutely. Good to see you, Chris.
A lot of our audience, like you, spends a lot of time in the outdoors in Arkansas. They hunt, they fish, they trap. For those who don't, though, talk a little bit about the importance of the work that the Game and Fish Commission does and the mission that you have there.
Sure. Well, our mission is to conserve fish, wildlife, and their habitat, and to bring all of that to all Arkansans. It's dramatically important to the state for a few reasons. One, if you just look at it economically, outdoor recreation brings 96,000 jobs to the state every year and about $9.6 billion in consumer spending every single year. You know, I think about growing up in Lonoke County, duck season, eastern part of the state, northeastern part of the state, southeastern part of the state. There's lots of gas stations and outfitters that depend on duck hunting for their livelihood. You can say the same for trout fishing in north central Arkansas, deer hunting, south Arkansas. So from an economic standpoint alone, hunting, fishing, outdoor recreation is in large part a lifeblood of Arkansas.
Yeah, everybody benefits.
Sure. And the other reason that's near and dear to my heart, having spent some years outside of the state, is I'm a firm believer that hunting, fishing, and spending time outdoors, it defines us as who we are as Arkansans. I refer to them as our distinctive virtues that make an Arkansan and not, say, a Texan or a Tennessean.
Right, big difference there.
Yeah.
You did grow up in Scott, as you mentioned, a huge outdoorsman. Is duck hunting in Arkansas, deer hunting in Arkansas, fishing in Arkansas, are they as good as they were when you were a kid?
Well, we have a saying, things aren't good as now as they never was.
Yeah.
But I'm old enough to have remembered duck hunting when those are the days that everybody looks back on as the heydays.
Yeah.
But I'm also young enough to still be hunting and see what we're dealing with now. Ducks are what we call a continental resource, meaning they don't live in Arkansas and they stay in Arkansas, so they're affected by climate and habitat changes all the way from Louisiana up to Canada. So the duck resource is dealing with quite a bit of habitat challenges, and we're seeing that compounded with other people upstream of us wanting to duck hunt more. The deer hunting is absolutely outstanding. Last year we had a record harvest. I believe in the 1990s we harvested around 90,000 deer. And last year we were over 200,000 deer. Wow. So the deer resource is doing great. And of course, north central Arkansas known for some of the nation's best fishing.
No doubt. You talk a lot about what you call common man conservation.
Sure.
What does that mean?
Yeah, well, to me, this goes back to the connection between what I was talking about with the character of Arkansas and conservation. Common man conservation is the notion that there's more to outdoorsmanship than pulling a trigger or reeling in a fish. And where that all leads us to is, one, everything we do at the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission is at the end of the day pointed towards Arkansans. For every water control structure that we own, for every wildlife management area that we own, it's not the Arkansas Game and Fish's, it belongs to Arkansans. The second part of that is it's not just one group of Arkansans that we're trying to bring the Arkansas outdoors to. All of those resources that I just described, they belong to northwestern Arkansans, to central Arkansans, to southeastern, everybody in the state. And the third part of that is as we try to manage habitat and bring it to people, we're focused not just on current Arkansans, but future Arkansans as well.
Mm-hmm. We mentioned you grew up in Scott. You attended high school here at Little Rock Catholic High School. You went to college at the Citadel, then law school at the University of South Carolina, and then you joined the Marines. Tell me about that decision and how your time in the Corps, about 8 years or so, shaped you as a person and as a leader.
Sure, that's a great question. So I watched 9/11 happen from my sophomore homeroom classroom with Coach Pilcher, who was probably there when you were there. And that was a pivotal moment in my mind, changed how I saw the world even as a young man. So I always had service on my mind from that point forward, because I had the mindset of, I've been blessed so much in my life and had so many privileges based on what generations before me have done. It was really a question I had to ask myself of why not? If not me, then who? So I went to Citadel, then went to law school, took a commission in the Marine Corps halfway through law school. It equipped me very well for the position that I'm in now, for two reasons. One, I got to work at the intersection of budget and government a whole lot my last 3 years. And then also, when I left Arkansas to go out of state for college and then in the Marine Corps, I left all my hunting holes, all my fishing holes, and so I had the opportunity to walk away from hunting and fishing and didn't. And so as we look forward toward trying to bring new outdoorsmen into our tent, I have the perspective of someone that had to go find their own public land to hunt, their own public fishery to fish. And I enjoyed that process so much that my last few years in the Marine Corps, I taught more people to hunt and fish than I ever thought I would, and enjoyed that more than anything else.
Wow. So after that, you worked in Washington for a bit, then an opportunity with the Department of Veterans Affairs brought you back home. But then this opportunity with Game and Fish, how did that come to be?
Well, people ask me this question a lot. They said, you know, hey, you're 35 years old, how in the world did this happen?
Yeah.
And I always tell them the same thing. I said, I read the newspaper. I saw that the current director was retiring. I Googled the headhunter, and I sent him my cover letter and my resume.
It's just that easy.
Yes, right. No, but we had a very lengthy interview process, and I applied for it because I've got 3 kids at home. And when I think about what the Arkansas outdoors meant to me when I was their age, the influence that it had on me up to this point, and how I know that's true for so many folks here in Arkansas, I thought, I don't know that there's a better cause that I want to fight for.
Well, one of the commissioners, after you were hired, said that they felt like Game and Fish needed to relate to a younger generation. Do you agree with that? And how are you trying to kind of fulfill that promise?
Yeah, so we're at a turning point with younger generations for lots of reasons. One, the baby boomers are starting to age out of the hunting, fishing kind of prime age groups. So we're losing outdoorsmen on the quantitative side of that. Then on the qualitative side of that, there's simply not that many young people that are interested in the outdoors. There's lots of really complex reasons for that. I think the two most persuasive in my mind are fewer married households and year-round sports. And so we have to think outside the box about how we're meeting families where they're at around their dinner tables to help highlight where these opportunities are in the outdoors. And I do think being younger helps with that.
Stan Jones, who's a commissioner from Clover Bend, also said that they were looking for a director who could repair and strengthen ties with the Arkansas legislature. There were 3 bills in the last session to increase the agency's funding that couldn't even get out of committee. Are you on kind of that outreach mission to lawmakers? What are you hearing from them? And it seems surprising to me that there wouldn't be more support for Game and Fish through the legislature in the sense that we're such an outdoor state.
Sure. Well, I can say that I had an incredible opportunity in the Marine Corps to work on Capitol Hill with House and Senate Appropriations Committees, and I was Congressman Steve Womack's military fellow when I was still in the Marine Corps, and that gave me a lot of insight just on how legislatures work, and so I can't really comment on what the relationship was like before I was the director. But since July 1st, when I took over, I've been adamant that we're going to view the legislature as people that care about their communities just as much as we do, that they're not an obstacle, but that we have this same shared mission of bringing the Arkansas outdoors to every single corner of Arkansas. And we've been working very closely with them since July 1st, and we look forward to doing it in the fiscal session this year.
One other thing you mentioned when you first came back was the high price of duck hunting leases in Arkansas. Where are you on that issue today?
Well, this comes back to common man conservation, because the dilemma for Arkansans should not be do I try to put myself in a position to pay for access that I can't afford? Or do I just not enjoy the outdoors in the way that I want to? That's not fair. We're the natural state. We're known for having an elk season, a bear season, world-class trout fishing, world-class duck hunting. You know, we joke around that we're the only state where you can kill an elk and an alligator. It's important to me that does not become an economic divide, but that we're providing the same kind of opportunities on private land as we manage the herd resources, but that we're also providing that on public opportunities. So as we develop a 5-year agency strategic plan, which we're going through right now, public lands and public fisheries are on the very front of my mind.
Okay, I've read a little bit about green tree water management. Bear with me here. The long and the short of it to me seems to be that there's been an abundance of rainfall over the years. It's caused problems with trees that provide food for ducks.
Sure. And
that now you have to tackle that problem to kind of renew that resource. It struck me reading about that's the kind of problem that you don't solve in 1 or 2 seasons. Right. That's the kind of thing that you look at and you make a plan to solve a generation from now. So it's not just today's hunters you have to think about. You have to think about their kids and their grandkids as well, right?
Well, our green tree reservoirs, we created these green tree reservoirs because they're natural drainage points for water. And when we put the infrastructure in place in the 50s and the 60s, we were doing that to provide consistent and stable and predictable duck hunting opportunities for the public. Well, you fast forward to 2021, 2022, not only is all of that infrastructure outdated, but we didn't know then what we know now about tree dormancy and how harmful it is to keep water on it outside of the tree dormancy season. And you add on that another layer of we're just getting an exponentially higher level of rainfall now than we ever have. You know, people remember well the large rain event that we got the first week of June 2021. Deshay County got 19 inches of rain in 36 hours. One of our wildlife management areas was dry before that, and it took us 6 weeks just to get the water off. And anytime we have standing water on trees like that during the growth season, it's very, very harmful. Now, the public side of this, it took us decades to get to this point, and it'll take us decades to work out of it. But we have a very solid plan. We took that to the public this fall through 4 public meetings, and for the most part, the feedback's been outstanding.
It just really speaks, though, to the vision that you have to have in this job.
Yes, sir.
How much time do you spend behind a desk versus the amount of time you spend outdoors?
I'd like to say too much. So I have a saying that our agency staff would say they're probably sick of by now, but it's always see you in the field. The best work that this agency does is often at our fish hatcheries or in the field putting in a food plot or banding wood ducks or pulling bears out of their dens for samplings or measuring fish. The heart of the Arkansas outdoors lies in the field for people, and it also lies in the field for what we do. So it's tremendously important to me to get out in the field to see the hardworking men and women that do this work every single day.
Okay. Well, you're very kind to come in our studio, and I hope to see you in the field one day.
Thank you, Chris.
Awesome. Great to see you. Thanks so much. That's Austin Booth, the Director of Arkansas Game and Fish. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the page. And if there's someone you'd like to see on Conversations, drop a note there in the comments. That's it for now. I'm Chris May. We'll see you for our next conversation.